in my life. I spent many an hour looking at that picture, I can see. All right, so let's find out a little bit about Ted Reed. I'm going to take a look at his opening page. I don't know if you can read that. I can. So let's just go through this. In every band or ensemble, the drummer is called upon to give that group a solid rhythmic foundation. Therefore, it is important that every drummer have excellent music reading skills. The goal of this book is to first introduce basic music reading skills and then to explore many of the most common syncopation rhythms found in today's music. Here are some suggestions on how to practice the rhythms and exercises found in this book. 1. Count out loud. This is a must in order to become a good reader. 2. Practice at various tempos, from slow to fast. 3. Work on incorporating the syncopated rhythms you learned in this book around the full drum set, toms, cymbals, hi-hats, etc. 4. Devote some of your practice time to playing with a metronome. Remember, there is no substitute for a good teacher. I can't say all of this stuff often enough. Then he goes on to say something about the book. Since its publication, many drummers have asked me how I was inspired to write this book. I was teaching drums, giving 85 half-hour lessons each week with about 55 students, Monday to Friday. First I would listen to this, I think he meant listen. First I would listen to the students' last lesson, and then write, demonstrate, and explain, and play with them on their new lesson. So he would come in and have them do their old lesson. He'd listen to it, and then he'd do the new lesson with them. I then wrote all that stuff and made copies. I was careful to protect my original work from plagiarism, and I received an official copyright from Washington. You see, I published in 1958, and now it's in your hands. BC. I don't think he wrote that BC in 58. So anyway, so this is actual material that he wrote by hand for his students over time, starting from the primary first lesson, reading lesson, way into pretty sophisticated a syncopation vocabulary. A lot of the common vocabulary that we find in jazz, and also that has been applied to other kinds of popular music. So the book has two purposes. I mean, it does two things. It's directed at primary students who want to learn how to read, and it's directed at students who know how to read or want to get more into syncopation and the drum set and apply what they're learning. So it covers a lot of ground, and there's 65 pages of material here. He's got accent work in here. He's got, pretty much everything he did with his students. So it's a really good book. It's full of, but it's not full of wonderful stuff. But it's not. Let me show you the first page. It's not what you normally see. Well, I'll give you a little bit of table contents. You see, he starts here with playing quarter notes. Okay, Stan. Bill Holden's aunt is here and says hi to me, and I appreciate that. Quarter notes, and then quarter rests and half rests in unison, and then he does a little bit of independent thing, and then he adds eighth notes, and then he adds sixteenths and combinations with eighths, and then eighth notes for triplets and quarter notes, And it keeps building, building, building until he finally gets into the syncopation area. As you can see, halfway through the book, it's a 65-page book, and he gets to the object of the book at page 33. So, what I would like to do is I want you guys to separate, you guys and girls, excuse me. I want you to separate yourselves into two groups. All right, one group is the group that doesn't read, and the other group is going to be the group that reads. All right, and I'm going to do two different kinds of presentations here. I'm going to do a presentation for the people who don't read about fundamental reading skills and exercises, and then I'll switch to the other group where you guys read, and we want to talk about syncopation and get into the meat of the book at 33. So I'm going to get into some fundamental reading information, and I'm going to get rid of everything you see. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this and that. All right, we can leave that. I like that. We'll get rid of that. See, we got one more. Oh yeah, we got this one. I guess we could leave that. This one, no, let's get rid of that too. All right. So let's see what we got here now. So I'm going to start drawing some music here. All right. And then we're going to begin. Let me just see what kind of a pen I got. Okay. Well, let's start out with this one. I guess. No, let's go. No, we'll start with this one. All right. Let's get rid of everything. So I'm going to draw the beginning. We're going to write some music, okay? I'm not very good at drawing in real life. And I'm even worse with a mouse. And there's some funny tools here. So, pardon me. So I'm going to start the beginning of the music with a line to just mark the beginning. Straight line, hopefully. Good. All right. And then I'm going to mark a line for the end of the music. So it's going to end here. So we have a beginning and an end. See how difficult it is? Okay, so I messed up. So let's fill that in. So that's our ending. Okay, the ending will be a little thicker than the beginning, which is okay. Actually, now I can use the thicker one. Okay, so this is the ending. Now let's go back to the thin one again. Now I'm going to draw a line in the middle between the two, which is going to be our timeline. Hopefully another straight line straight across to this one, and it wasn't so straight. Anyway, you get the idea. So this is the timeline. Let me fill that in that case. This is a timeline. So we have a beginning, and we have an end, and we have a a timeline. That's usually the staff, but we don't need a full staff. We're just going to use one line because we're only going to use one note. All right. Now, we can put a little more structure into this music by putting what we call a bar line in. This is a measure of music. This is the measure. We're going to measure the music with this. All right. And now I'm going to take a bar line, what we call a bar line. I'm going to split this measure in two. Hopefully with a straight line. No. Okay. I can't draw straight lines. Okay. So that's the bar line. And now I have two measures. A measure here and a measure here. Or we call them bars. The first bar or the second bar. The bar line splits the measure into two bars. So now I got two bars of music here. Now, the next thing we need to deal with is what we call a time signature. So, the syncopation is written in is written in common time. So you're using this big C. But really, C, what common time means, is 4/4. So let's write that. It's two numbers. There's a top number. And then there's a bottom number. It's a fraction. Right? All right. The top number in the fraction is a denominator, and the bottom number... No, the top number is a numerator, and the bottom number is the denominator, or the... something like that, or the divisor, or, you know... But it's just regular math. So that's the time signature, 4/4. And what does that mean? Well, the top number tells you how many beats are going to be in each bar. No matter how many bars you have, the signature says that bars are going to have 4 beats, or 4 counts. That's how you're going to count it, right? So we can draw that in. So there's going to be a 1, and there's going to be a 2. And there's going to be a, don't laugh at my handwriting. And there's going to be a 4. And then the bar, and then it's going to start again. It's going to do that again. And then there's going to be another 1. And then there's going to be another 2. And then there's another 3. And then there's going to be another 4. And then there's going to be an end. And that's the end of the piece. All right. So that's the top number. So what does the bottom number mean? What does that tell us? Well, the bottom number of a fraction tells you the value of how many, the top is how many you got, and the bottom is, you know, the value of it. So if we're dealing with quarters, we're talking about quarter parts of the bar, of the measure, or quarter notes. All right, so if we want to play something, we write a note for somebody, and we say, here, we want you to play now. So if I write a note here, for 1, it's going to be a quarter note, which is a circle filled in with a stem. And I can write another one here. Another stem. And I can do another one here. Another stem. That's not there. It's just straight up and down. Stem. Okay? And then one more on the 4. So if I count off and I want to play the first bar, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, note, 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 or sound, 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 or A, or whatever note it is, or snare drum, snare drum, snare drum, snare drum. Okay. And if I don't want somebody to play, I could put what we call a rest in there of the same value, a quarter note rest. So this is quarter notes when we want someone to play, and the notes are equal to the count. Right? And then if I don't want somebody to play, I'm going to write a rest, which is rest, 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 rest. I don't do this very well, I'm sorry. So now I could play the whole piece. I have the play, 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 rest, 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 rest. Or literally this: 1, 2, 3, 4. And silence. With the metronome, it's going to be this. I'm going to repeat it. Okay? And that's how it works. When I want you to play, I write a note. When I want you not to play, I write a rest. And you know when to play or when not to play, because we count off and we can follow the music from bar to bar, so we know where we are in the bar, and we know when to play, and when we know when not to play. And that's reading drum music. Simply. So it's one line. I mean, piano players have 10 fingers. We got 2 hands and 2 feet, plus a couple other things we can hit. But basically, it's all based on this, on play or don't play. And here's the time signature, here's the tempo, here's how you count it, and here's when you play, and here's when you don't play. Okay? So, let's get rid of this now, that you understand that. And let's bring the book back. Here we go. Now let's take a look at the first page. Okay, which is this page. It's really page 4. Okay, and you can see his handwriting is better than mine. But basically he's writing 2 lines to play. The top line is interpreted as the snare drum, and the bottom line is interpreted as the bass drum. This is what we do as drummers. You know, it's a good idea to start using your feet. And he's writing notes and rests as he wants you to play. Now, if you get to the 3rd line, you'll see there's an odd rest there that I haven't shown you. That's called a half note rest. It has the value, it's the same fractions, has the same value as 2 quarter note rests in a row. So instead of writing 2 quarter note rests, he's writing 1 half note rest and then writing the rest of the quarter notes. In the next line, on line 4, you can see he has to use a combination of both. He has to use a half note rest. If you use another half note rest, that's the whole bar. So he has to use a quarter note rest. So you can see you can use the rests in any combination, quarters or halves. It's a half note too, but we won't go involved with that. But there's more kinds of notes, there's all kinds of subdivisions. But basically, this is the instruction set. Play, 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 play. Rest, play, 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 rest, play, 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 rest, play, 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 rest, play, play, play. Rest, rest, play, play, rest, plus, play, play. And he goes through all of the combinations that you're going to be presented with when you have to play quarter notes in 4/4. Notice he only wrote the signature once, and he wrote it a big C, which means common, which is 4/4. And he wants you to count. He told you to count, even though he didn't write the counts in. He wants you to count and play at the same time, which is going to be like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Okay? And so forth. And so on. And then you can see that each line has a specific pattern. And he repeats that pattern 4 times. He's very big on repetition, so he's ingraining what this looks like and what this sounds like over and over again. And then giving you another word to confront and say and count. And let's go to the next page. And he continues to do that until he's exhausted all of the combinations in this pattern format, 4 times each. Repeat it until you know it. You can repeat the line over and over again, too, if you really want to get deep. And then at the end of the whole presentation, he gives you a 16-bar exercise, which is a combination of all the previous words that he's presented in pattern format, but he's giving it to you in phraseology format. He's giving it to you in a musical statement, a 16-bar musical statement, where he's not repeating anything except the bass drum line, because the bass drum line just remains constant, plays a 4 on the floor the whole time. No challenge there. We just want to get used to keeping time with our feet while we're playing something with our hands. Okay? And that's the beginning. That's lesson 1. It goes on from there. You know. He doesn't move very quickly. I'll go through a couple of pages more just to show you how he starts building on this. And in the next section, he does the same kind of thing, but he doesn't give you 4 on the floor. He forces you to play unison with your top and bottom. Your hands and feet are now playing unison parts instead of supportive understructures against the phrase on top. Now you're playing unison. And he goes through the same combinations again. And then presents another 16-bar musically phrased exercise that utilizes the vocabulary that he's presented in a pattern format. It's really great. Imagine writing this stuff out every week for somebody. Yeah, man, bless him. 85 lessons a week. Man, bless this man. And then what happens next is, fairly logical. Let's get to 8. Now, same thing, except instead of playing a support pattern underneath through the whole thing, or a unison pattern throughout the whole thing, this is contrapunctual patterns. Ups and downs in opposition. So, same material, but another way to approach a drum set. You got feet. It's great stuff. And of course, as you can expect, he winds up with the usual pattern of a 16-bar phrase, musical phrase, using the same kind of methodology as he presented in the pattern forms. And then it gets a little more complicated. Then it gets into the next subdivision level. Where are we? What is this? This one? 10. And then he adds the next level of subdivision, which is eighth notes, and starts going through the eighth. Now, this is where I'm going to stop now on the elementary reading, because this is the material starts to get dense. Because obviously, the more notes you have in your subdivision, the more possibilities there is in the phrasing of those notes and groups. He tries to do it pretty. I mean, he starts with 2 and then 4 and 6, and then different combinations of them. It's a lot of material that he presents to you to be able to sight read by recognizing the vocabulary on, from practice. All right. How are we doing? Doing good. All right. And of course, and this goes on. And on. I mean, there's the eighth notes and triplets, and eighth note triplets, and then playing sixteenths and quarter notes, and then eighth notes and sixteenth notes, and blah, blah, blah. And finally, we get to syncopation, which is what I want to now turn to the syncopation part of the book. For those people who are very patient. I want the other group now, the group that was the non-reading group is now not dismissed, but we're going to invite the other group of people in that do read back into the room, and I'm going to address them now and the people who just got their first impression of what reading is like. Don't be scared by this, or if you don't think you can handle it, it's okay. You've seen enough. But if you want to hang out and watch this to see where this book takes you eventually, I think it'd be very interesting for you. So let's go to page 33 and see where he starts his syncopation presentation. 33. It's this page. So, this, let me read you what it says. Syncopation occurs when a temporary displacement of the regular metrical accent occurs, causing the emphasis to shift from a strong accent to a weak accent. In the examples below, each pattern, A, B, and C, sounds the same, yet it is written differently. It's a very important point for drummers that he's making. And I'm going to elaborate on that point that he's not making. It's the implication of what this means to us as musicians when we play music on a drum set with other musicians. Okay. So anyway, his point here is that you can write things in more than one way. And on a snare drum or a drum pad, and let me bring up a picture of me at this point so you can see. Let me back in the room. The lights. Let me bring the other pictures in. They're still there. Here we go. Come on. Oh, you got one more somewhere. Ah, there it is. Okay. Now we got the overhead, left, and right. But I'm not doing anything technical now. All right. So what he's saying is that when you play this, all right. So I didn't get into eighth notes with the other group, but we call in between the quarter notes. It's called and. So there's eighth notes and 4 ands and 4 quarters. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay. He's actually on the floor back here. Yeah, I'm sorry. Bill Holden's aunt wants to know where my dog is. Yeah, he was on the bed earlier, but I think he needs a little floor now. Thanks for asking, but he's fine. He's right here. I pick him up and show him to you, but then he's going to want attention. And I don't want to break it up. So anyway, so if I play this on a pad, I did it 3 different ways, but you know, this the object of the technique. Yeah, he's union. That's right. He's union. I can't afford him. That's why I don't put him on camera. I keep telling him it's great exposure, but he doesn't want to hear it. I tell you. So you see, they all sound the same. The second one is this one. And the third one is. And the fourth one is really confusing. And the fifth one is really So what's going on here? I mean, it's just, first of all, let's talk about what does he mean by syncopation? Well, he's talking about emphasis of the accentuation, but he's not talking about an accent, really. He's talking about the rhythmic accent of the phrase. Right? So we naturally feel downbeats on quarter notes. So we like to have a resolution on the downbeat. The 2 or the 3 or the 4. So what we want to hear is or all straight up and down. The phrase starts on a downbeat, ends on a downbeat. It's expected. That's where we expect it. This doesn't. This has 2 notes. You wind up in the air. Right? So there's a surprise there. So what's our tendency? All right, so we expect it in the air, and there it is. The next one's in the air, just as expected, and then it comes back down on a downbeat where it's not expected. So we were feeling it down, and then we feel it up, and then we feel it down again, and then we're going to feel it up, and then it keeps changing direction or emphasis. You can call it accent. But we're not talking about a physical accent. We're talking about a phrasing accent. Okay. So that's what syncopation is. It's an unexpected change in the emphasis of a phrase. When you expect it to come down, it goes up. When you expect it to go up, it goes down. Makes it very interesting. You got to pay attention. Otherwise, you're going to lose your place. So why did he write it 3 different ways? Well, because he can. that's how it works, because there's only one attack on a snare drum. We develop other ways of attacking the drum to simulate the long tone of other instruments. We call that the roll. But this is not a notated roll. And all the roll does is extend the sound of the attack to the next, to where the slur ends. I mean, sometimes there's no slur, so it's a short roll. It's a 7 or a 5. You know, it ends before the downbeat, and then sometimes it goes into the down. When it goes into the downbeat, they write a slur into it to tell you that's where the sound ends. So really, what a slur is doing is extending the duration of a note. So, but because I don't have any duration, it all sounds the same. But that's not true of other instruments. When you're playing with a melody instrument, with a wind instrument, for instance, it makes a big difference to a trumpet player the way it's written. They're going to play it, 3 different ways because of the way it's phrased in the notation. Well, be 2 different ways, two ways of writing it, but it sounds the same. B and C sounds the same, but is written differently, and one sounds the same on a pad, but is also sounds the same when you play it on a melody instrument. And you have a rest. You have to honor the rest, so it would be da 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 da. Whereas because of the tie, you want to extend the sound of this of the second 8th note, but you don't want to reattack it. It's not a roll, so it's not a beginning and end of a roll. It's just the end of the sound. So it's da 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 da. Now you hear there was no break in my sound. There was no rest, or there was full value there. It could also be written the second way, whereas instead of writing 2 8th notes tied together, which equal a quarter note in value, you write the quarter note, which is usually seen on a downbeat. If you write it on the upbeat, it takes the place of the tied. But it might confuse somebody who's not used to seeing quarter notes on an upbeat. Unexpected that. It's an unexpected place to stop. So we have da 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 da. All right. So now let's go down to line 5, because that's really where it's going to make a big difference, and you really see what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna sing the real values that I'm looking at. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. It's too wow. Wow, big difference. To us, it's still but to a violinist, he's gonna have to go da za 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 za. That's a big difference to a violin. So anyway, that's what he's talking about. So he's presenting this idea to you that when you read music and you look at a chart, it doesn't mean That's not, you know. Nope. It's no cutoff. So, what does that mean when I play the drums? It means what I'm going to choose to hit needs to be something that's going to have some suspension after it. Like a ring, like a cymbal, or a drum that's open, that's not muffled, or I can use my hand to muffle and not muffle. I can do that on an open drum, and that will mimic what the rest of the band is trying to do in the melody. Okay. So that's what he means by that. Very good. Very important lesson. That's worth the price of the book alone. This one page is worth the price of the book as far as I'm concerned. All right, so let's go on. So what does he take it from here? This is 33, so the next one's 34, right? Okay, so here's the next page. And so now you can see what he's doing, what he did with the primary lessons is give you a patterned form of vocabulary. So the word is, that's the word. And he puts it in formats of repeated patterns. Okay. What does he say? Following four exercises begin with the 12 rhythms found in set 1 with new rhythms gradually introduced. So it's the previous page, but he's only, and notice he's writing it occasionally. He writes it one way and occasionally he writes it the other way. So you get used to it. So you get used to seeing it. Right? So you know what it is. You have to wonder what you're supposed to do when you see that slur. If the arranger and the orchestrator was a trumpet player and he wrote slurs in for you with no roll indications. So you're not going to play press rolls, no. You might. Depends on what the rest of the band's doing. But what it means is that the phrase has got a long tone in it, an enduring value that needs to be indicated somehow on the drum set. But when we're learning to read on the drum pad, essentially it's going to sound the same. So we need to get used to seeing it and playing it the same way. But like I said, when you get into a playing situation on the drum set, these things are things that other musicians are working with. And the more you understand what they're doing and the more you can connect what you're doing to what they're doing, the more they're going to want to play with you. And that's the name of the game. You want people who want to play with you. That'll call you when they got a gig. Alright, so he's starting to present all of this vocabulary, this syncopated vocabulary. That was 34, so we got to go to 35. And he continues with this. The phrases get a little longer. They're still syncopated. They're still a jump. I'm on the up. I'm on the down. One and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and. for the primary students. This is called eighth notes. Up, up, down, down, up, down. Okay? It's all syncopation, syncopated vocabulary, ways of surprising people with your phrasing. Okay, that was 35. Let's see what 36 says to us. More. Yeah, I mean you got eight notes now to play with. 8 notes and 8 rests. Or values. Either a rest or a note value covers the same space. But there's 8 on both sides of the fence. 8 plays, 8 not plays. 8 times 8 is what, 64? You're gonna have 64 word combinations? Is that how it works? I don't want to write a book. Don't want to write a book. So it was 35, 36. 35, 36. Let's go on to 37. Where's this going? More. Well, he introduces dotted notes now, which dotted notes is very indicative of syncopation because it naturally turns the beat around, right? It adds a half value to anything. So if you add another eighth note to 2 quarters, you have 3, and you wind up with your next attack being on the opposite, on the upside, instead of the downside. So that dotted eighth note creates syncopation just by its mere presence. It's going to force a change of emphasis naturally, just because of the extension of the note value. Another factor. Wonderful stuff. So that was, what was that? That was 37, 38. So here we go. So he's gone through all the vocabulary. Remember what he did in the beginning, in the primary section. He went through all the vocabulary was much shorter because it was quarter notes and quarter rests. It was only 4 plays and 4 not plays. That's right. Bill Holden's aunt has said something, and I want to address that. He said, "These few Bibles, quote unquote, you bring up are all that is really required, in my opinion. Stone, Reed, Chapin, Cerrone. There's a reason that I chose these 5 books as the series. And the reason for that, very simple, is these are the books that I use to teach with. That's it. I'm doing with you here with the same books that I use to teach with. I'm going through the same material and the same technique that I do when students come to me privately to study. I don't do all of these books with all of the students. Not everybody's interested in all this. Thank you, Bill. I don't use all the books with every student because not everybody is interested in doing all this work. No. And I don't even do the books all the ways I know how to do them with everybody, because it really depends on what you want to work on, how much work you want to do, and what you want to work on, and what you think you need, what you think your weakness is. You know, so and these 5 books cover, like Bill Holden's aunt says, these few Bibles cover the ground. If you got a competent teacher that knows what he's doing, you don't really need much more than these 5 books. I know there's 500 books out there on everything imaginable. And some of them are really great. I'm not putting down. Some of those books are amazingly great. And I've done a lot of them. I've done as many as I could do before I gave up trying to do them. As many as it was out there. I did every book that was released, but then it got so weird that it made no sense to me to do 200 books because 200 books were released that year. And honestly speaking, these 5 books present all of the material that I need to work with. What's not in the books, I have to give the student. All right. So there's basic material here, and this is the idea of this book. This is very basic material, but there are dozens of ways to go through this material, just like in stick control. There are dozens of hundreds of ways to go through stick control. It's very generic stuff, and you really have to understand how to use it to replace the other material that's out there. But with a competent teacher, it's not in the book. It's never in the book. It's the teacher has to present it to the student in a way that they can assimilate it and apply it to their everyday life. And you can do that by yourself, I guess, to some degree, at some speed. But the best way to get the best results, the quickest results, and the most effective results is with a competent professional. So anyway, that's why I picked these 5 books, because these are the books I use when I teach, and I've had some good success with teaching. I'm not the world's busiest teacher. I never have been. I've never really made a living at teaching. It's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to play music, which I did, but I always wanted to teach. I always loved teaching. I always taught my whole life. But I haven't spent 85 lessons a week with 50 kids like Ted Reed has. Or a lot of you guys out there who are teaching for a living. I haven't done that. I don't have that kind of experience. So anyway, so his concept was to present all these words or the vocabulary in a patterned form, just like he did the first time, and now he's presenting them instead of a 48-bar exercise. He's giving you a full page, musically arranged and presented. No accents, but with a lot of syncopated accentuation. And these become musical pieces. These are little songs. So it really develops a musical sense. I'm going to play this for you. I'll play with the metronome, okay, so it makes sense to you. And you can see he wrote 4/4. He wrote C in the beginning, but it's all the same. How fast should I do this? All right, let's take 100. It's pretty conservative. 104. 104 is the middle of my metronome. Okay. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Oh, but yeah. Sorry. Very musical. Very musical. He's got 9 of these. This is just the first one. He's got 9 pages of this stuff. I'm going to take it up. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm doing it in 2 now. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 1 and 2 and okay. This is the way it's written. Good morning, Matt. Matt Patella is in the room. And that's one of the things I do. You know, after I do this in 4, I like to do it in 2 with the student. Not at this tempo. I mean, you know, let's bring it down. Let's bring it down to 80, and I'll show you what I mean. So at first I do it this way. Okay, which is 4 beats to the bar. That's 4/4. Then I say, okay, let's change the signature to 2/2. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means it's 2 beats to the bar, and each beat is worth a half note now. So your count is 1/2, 1/2, 1/2. Well, okay, but what does a quarter note become then? Well, then a quarter note becomes the 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. And what does the eighth notes become? Well, the eighth notes become 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and. So it's really a double time thing. But I want you to feel it with just 2 beats on your foot. In 2. You can take it to the next step. In 1. You get it. So that's the first. Alternate method of playing. You know, I'll go through the book. Read it through, and when the student can do that, then I'm going to say, okay, now do it in 2, and they're not going to be able to do that. They'll have to take it home, work that out. And if they can bring it back in 2, then I show it to them in 1, and we don't usually talk about it again. So that's just the beginning. I mean, I've been working with this book. I don't want to. When did I think it was my first teacher that showed it to me. Yeah, it was Irving Eckers. God bless him. He made kitchen cabinets during the week in his store to pay for his one family home, and on the weekends he went out and did weddings at bar mitzvahs. And in the evenings he would come to my house and give me lessons. For $3 a lesson. God bless Irving Eckers. And he gave me this book then. I was what? Yeah, I'm going to get to that. So I've been doing this a long time. So, all right, so Matt wants me to move on. So now, that's with an eighth note subdivision. Now, earlier on, I was talking to everyone. He seemed to be doing fine. I mean, he raised 2 kids in a 1-family home in Canarsie. And he did okay. And the bar mitzvahs, I did a few myself. I don't recommend them. Although you'll be lucky if you find one to do today. To be honest with you, guys were making great livings just 3 days a week, doing 5 club dates a week. You know, two Friday, 1 Friday, 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday, sometimes 3 Sunday. Now you can't get arrested unless you have a turntable, and then you can get a lot of work. So anyway, so anyway. To get to the point, I was talking earlier about the fact that, the way things feel comes from how they're subdivided, underlying subdivision, So I can make this feel differently. And right now you're getting an eighth note feel, because we're using an eighth note subdivision. But I could use a triplet kind of subdivision, where instead of using an eighth note foundation, I can use a triplet foundation, which is 12. I'm sure you want to talk about. Okay. So if this is the tempo, right, and I'm working here with eighth notes. So one of those notes, all of those notes have to hit one of these. It's also a way of looking at independence. Okay? But that's something else. That's another way of doing it with independence approaches. But I don't want to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the feel. So what if I do a triplet feel? So we're talking about shuffle now. What does that become? So I can swing it. It's a swing feel. Same thing, change the subdivision. That's another way to do it. And of course that comes into the stuff of, if I can do that, then I can do it with an accent pattern. Okay? Well, I'm going to get into accents, and I can do it with a 16th note feel. And use paradiddles. I'm also using paradiddle diddles. Alright, so I'm using singles and diddles and playing the phrase in the 16th note accent pattern. So I gave it to you 3 ways already. I gave it to you with 8th notes. I gave it to you with a triplet feel. And I give it to you with a 16th note feel. And I give it to you with triplet accents. I give it to you with paradiddle accents. Same. I just gave you 7 lessons in 3 minutes. Okay? Call me up, let me know when you're ready, and bring it back and show it to me, okay? Thank you very much. And there's more. You get this on the drum set. Then you do stuff like the quarter notes on the bottom and the 8th notes on the top. Sorry. Beautiful stuff. And then you're going to... You can do it with a ride pattern. That way. The one-hand accent, the fill-in stuff I was doing. I'll stop. I'm done. And there's 9 of these. Actual cash show you. Let me show you another one. I don't know where I am. I think it's 40. What is 40? Okay, so this is the 3rd one. Let me put a little bit of this. 1, 2, 3, 4. You get the idea. It's fun. You get them on a drum set, man. You can do this whole drum solo here. You can add rolls to it. You start doing fill-ins. I mean, eventually he gets into doing really like out-and-out solo. By the time you get to the 9th one, what was that, 40? It was 340, so it would be 45, would it be? This one, 46. Yeah, I mean, this one, it gets to be, I mean, just a straight solo. I mean, he's using 4-stroke roughs and drags and... And this is not even the end. I mean, you know, then he gets into accent routines that he wrote out by hand. I mean, you know, it's really it becomes a duplication after all, because you could use all of the material in the front for the accent routines, but he actually writes them out in triplets and 16-note form in the back, so you don't have to wonder. It's written. But yeah, so the idea of the book is you learn your basic reading skills, and then he introduces you to syncopation and the drum set, and then it's up to the teacher to just take it. Wow, I mean, just anywhere you want to go. I mean, what do you want to, you know, what style of music you want to study? Apply it to this. Put it on a drum set. Invert it. Do the eighth notes on the bottom and the quarter notes on the snare drum. But that's you know, you just don't learn a book and put it away. I mean, no, there's a lot of books you do that with, but not these books. You don't learn them and then put them in the drawer. Stick control. It's not something that you learn. It's something you do. Anyway, so I'm going to stop. I'm rambling at this point. I want to thank you for watching this series, especially today, and I want to remind you that I am involved with the SU social media network, www.tsu.co/. It's a social media network. It's a lot of fun. It's full of. It's very friendly to content providers. So if you like to make creative content, I think you're going to find a very comfortable home there. And there's a lot of great content there because of that. So it's a great place to browse. And there's a lot of great stuff going on there. For instance, this online streaming. That's a short code for After Hours, which is the streaming channel that is presenting this to you, and they're based out of Sioux. And if you use their short code with the address, that becomes an invitation to join the network. You can't just join the network, join the Sioux organization. You have to join somebody's network by using their short code. In combination like this with the Sioux address. Now, if you don't want to join After Hours network, if you're not interested in that, you can join mine. I'd be happy to have you in my network. My short code is ZETZER, Zetzer. Okay. And you can join my network by using that short code with this Sioux address. And this whole series, all of the stuff that I'm doing for drums is sponsored by the Art of Drumming group in Sioux that I started with Matt Patella. And we encourage everybody to join the Art of Drumming group, but you need to be a member of Sioux in order to join. It's a public group. It's very good because it's a great way to get your material out there in front of people, because it's public. Everybody sees it. Anybody can see everything that's posted. Anybody can join the group. There's no screening of people. There's no screening of posts. You know, you can just join on your own, or I'll give you an invitation if you join my network automatically, and you can go and post your stuff there if you want to. And join the art of drumming group. There's another group that I'm involved with that After Hours is working with, sponsoring another format of jazz music videos with Wikipedia information about the artists that I'm publishing in the group, and I'm making a live stream show out of it that I archived. There's about 5 or 6 shows archived. If you like jazz, these are nice condensed selections of about 15 songs each. They run about an hour 15. So there's 2 archives. There's the archive of the Tech Talk and the book series, and then there's the archive of the jazz music. And there's going to be interviews. Hopefully I'm going to bring some people. I did an interview with Sam Rudenberg, but I didn't have my thing together as yet, and I lost the archive of Sam. I'm really sorry. I apologize to Sam, and I implore him to come back and do it again with me so that we can have an archive. You're welcome, William Taps. And I wanna get Matt and Sam to do a show with me here, the 3 of us, because we're all 3 of us study with Joe Morello, and I thought it might be interesting if we were all in the same place to compare notes about Joe and what it was like to study with him and what we got out of it and whatever else we might want to talk about. But I would like to put that out as well to Sam and to Matt. If we can coordinate our times, we could, you don't have to leave your home. And we'll make it convenient so nobody has to leave their house. And I hope I get to do that soon. I would really like to see that happen. So once again, thanks for listening to my commercial and my rap. And I hope this was helpful. I hope you learned something about reading if you didn't know anything about reading. And I hope you learned something about syncopation if you didn't know anything about syncopation. And I hope you learned something about applying material like this to practical usage on the drum set or even on the drum pad, just to learn even more sophisticated techniques than what's written on the page. And like I said, I implore you to find a good local teacher that's familiar with this stuff and understands, long-term development in a student, if that's what you're interested in doing. Like I said, though, if you don't need to do this, play music, but it certainly makes it more fun if you have a little control over what you're doing and you have some vocabulary under your belt. It makes it a much more fun experience for me. So I recommend it. Okay, I'm gonna go now, and thanks again for watching, and don't stop practicing.